Paul Pogba could have gone down as one of the best players of his generation and perhaps one of the greatest midfielders of all time. Of course, he didn't have it all, but he definitely had a lot going for him. But you know what? As it stands, it appears the 2018 World Cup winner will be going down as one of the many football talents that never truly fulfilled their potential. Pogba is a World Cup winner, so he might not exactly be a disappointment, but the man who played a key role in France's World Cup in 2018 has been banned for life. This is really disappointing. But how did Paul Pogba get here? 8 years before laying his hands on the World Cup, Paul Pogba got an invite to play for the French national team. However, this was not before impressing as a young Red Devil. He had moved to England from France and had a rocky transition. However, he went on to impress as a youngster for the youth team at United. After impressing Sir Alex Ferguson over a period, Pogba was invited to the first team. This was a step in the right direction, and one that several young players at United could only dream of. As huge as being a part of the first team under Ferguson was, Pogba did not seem satisfied with just being in the first team. He was on his way to becoming a regular in the United first team. However, he wasn't patient. He wanted more. So as long as he was a Red Devil, Pogba was going to have to wait a while before becoming a starter at United. This was not something he was willing to do. Sir Alex Ferguson was already looking to make the young Pogba a key player. Pogba, on the other hand, who was just 18, lacked patience and opted to leave Manchester United. He didn't just leave United, he was out of England for good. Looking at how Pogba's career turned out, it would have been easy to say his hunger for regular team football was a little too early, and maybe he could have been a little patient. However, considering all he brought to the table, he wasn't exactly in a haste. Pogba is blessed with a good physique and has always had the ability to protect the ball regardless of who he was up against. He also had the ability to dash past players easily and was blessed with great footwork. If that was all he had to offer, he would have been a great asset to any team in Europe. But he had even more. He could score from a distance and had great passing and throwing range. Pogba perhaps wasn't sure if his move from United to Juventus was the right one. However, with time, it became obvious that he made the right move. In 2014 and 2015, he was nominated for the Ballon d'Or and was one of the top 23 players in both years. Pogba was still 21 when he gained global recognition, and at this point, it was obvious he could compete with some of the biggest names in football. As good as being nominated for several awards was, it was just one of Pogba's achievements. As a Juventus player, the former French international won 3 Italian Super Cups, 4 League Cups, and 2 Italian Cups. That's not all. He was able to provide 41 assists and scored 34 goals in 178 appearances over a period of 4 years. Although Pogba is not the biggest player to have played for Juventus, he will always be remembered as one of the most talented. While at Juve, he was so successful, Manchester United felt they needed his services. Since he was a key player at Juventus and perhaps one of the best in his position in the world, Juventus placed a heavy price tag on him. This was probably a way of blowing United off. However, the Red Devils were willing to do anything to have Paul Pogba back in England, so they parted with €105 million to have him back, making him the most expensive player at the time. Pogba signed a 5-year contract, and this deal seemed like the best United had had in a long while. Unfortunately, they were wrong. His second stint as a Red Devil did not go according to plan. Paul's talent was not in doubt. However, he was ill-behaved, and as insignificant as this might have seemed, it was going to play a major role in his bad experience at Manchester United. We will go on with Pogba's second stint at Manchester United in a moment, but if you are enjoying this video, please smash the like and share buttons. Also, hit the bell button to avoid missing out on other videos. Pogba's arrival at United seemed like a sign of good things to come. On paper, he was the one to lead United to winning ways and back to their glory days, but the man perhaps was not ready for the responsibility of leading a team as big as United. After a disappointing 2017-18 season, it was beginning to seem the entire idea of bringing Pogba on board was a wrong move. There was a lot of dissatisfaction, and with this dissatisfaction came a great deal of criticism for the Frenchman. It was obvious what Pogba was capable of doing. However, to many United fans, he wasn't consistent, and his lack of consistency was obviously costing his team a lot. Paul was not having the best of times at Old Trafford, and it did not seem like he really had what it took to perform at the highest level. Well, the 2018 World Cup came, and it appeared he was back to the top of his game. He was not the only good player in the French side that won the 2018 World Cup. However, he played a very important role, and it was clear for all to see that he still had it in him. For a moment, it felt like Pogba was beginning to find his rhythm, but things got even worse after the World Cup. Pogba was back to England and went about his duties as a United player, and Mourinho, who was in charge of Manchester United at the time, expected him to step up and lead his teammates to victory. This was not too much to ask, but it didn't seem Paul was ready for such responsibility as he was busy having issues with his manager. Not long after he began having issues with Mourinho, he was left to watch things from the bench. At first, it seemed like this was a result of the fallout with the boss, but Mourinho revealed this was not the reason. Paul had been on the bench for a while, and it did not seem like Mourinho had any plans to get him back to action, as he considered him a negative influence on his teammates. A player of his caliber was not used to sitting on the bench, so it appeared he was going to leave United. The former United player had been on the bench for a couple of games, and it didn't seem like United could do any better without him. The team was performing badly, and Mourinho had to go. With Mourinho gone, Pogba was back to the team. However, it was clear that he wasn't going to continue playing for Manchester United for long, as each transfer window was associated with him leaving Old Trafford. Pogba's contract with Manchester United expired, and he felt it was best to leave. So in 2022, he went back to Turin. He had to take a major pay cut to play for the old ladies. However, this was not a problem as he needed a fresh start. Pogba had only played 15 days for Juventus before getting injured, and for 2 months, he saw no action. He neither played for Juventus nor took part at the World Cup in Qatar. Pogba was beginning to heal, and it seemed like Juventus would be having him back on the pitch. However, he got dismissed by Allegri for being undisciplined. This was supposed to be a problem for just Pogba, but it became a problem for the entire team. A couple of days later, he got injured again and had to be out for 3 weeks. 3 weeks went by and the French player seemed ready for action. Also, it appeared he was back in his manager's good books. He was back on the pitch. However, his time on the pitch was cut short by injury, and this time, he will not be available for the rest of the season. Since coming back to Juventus, Pogba has only played 161 minutes. It might seem like his recurring injuries are the worst thing that has happened to him. However, things got worse in October 2023. Pogba, who was already out for the season, got what he probably would describe as the most shocking news of his life. He failed a drug test which was carried out randomly. He tested positive for a performance drug called testosterone B, and with this, he was either going to get banned indefinitely or forced into retirement. Things were as bad as they could possibly get, and Paul's argument was he took the drugs accidentally, but he couldn't prove this. If he could, he would have been banned for 2 years. 2 years is a long time, but it's definitely better than an indefinite ban. Since Paul has not been forced into retirement, when this ban is over, he technically will be able to continue football. But at this time, he might have just a little to offer, so he is as good as done with football. We are not sure what the next step is for the World Cup winner. However, with football, we might as well kiss his career goodbye. What do you think Paul Pogba's next step is? Kindly let us know in the comment section below. Also, before moving on, subscribe to this channel to see more videos like this. See you in the next video.